To my 400 affiliates, welcome. That music, of course, from The Wire, which if you listened earlier this year, and that wouldn't be possible if you're the new affiliate in West Virginia or the new affiliate out Northern California. The Wire made up my second week of sequestration when the fetching Mrs. Hewitt and I were separated, and I was, basically shut down watching television. Finally got to watch The Wire. Excellent show. That's a backstory to yesterday afternoon. This is the first in a series of shows devoted to David Simon. Not shows, segments. They will occur as information appears. Over at HughHewitt.com, there's an email button, contact Hugh. If you've got any information for me on this story, send it there. Put in the subject matter line, David Simon. Here's the backstory. Yesterday, I get a ping in my post-show nap, and it's from a listener who says, boy, did you get under the skin of David Simon? To which I honestly replied, who's David Simon? Because unlike Sonny Bunch, who's coming up later this hour, I actually have no idea who produces and writes television dramas because I tend to forget them. Now, I think parts of The Wire I'll never forget. It's great television. It's one of the best television series ever made. But of course, like all television series, they become laugh-in after a while. But I didn't know David Simon produced it. And so I had Matt Continetti on yesterday, and we had a great conversation about the problems with the impeachment trial of the president. And someone named Eric Kleefeld, a nobody I don't know, and Eric has got a grand total of, well, I don't know, 5 followers. I honestly do not know. Clipped it, took a little bit of it, and said, Hugh Hewitt says jurors shouldn't be on any case. Now, what I had actually said to or had discussed with, now I can't find any of this stuff. What I had really actually discussed with Matt Continetti was the difficulty in American jurisprudence, or indeed any setting, whether it's criminal, civil, or non-judicial proceeding. We never allow victims to serve as the jurors, even down like the high school disciplinary proceedings. We just don't let it. So Eric, this fellow I don't know, had written, Hugh Hewitt says the media should tell the public a major problem with the Senate impeachment trial. Victims ought never to be juror. His guest, Matt Continetti, one of the smartest people in America, replies, the mob targeted the elected officials of the United States, and there's no way I think of getting out of that situation. So in arrives David Simon. Like I said, never talked to the guy, never knew of him. Threaten, Hunter, kill those in the first branch of American government, and they can never, ever impeach you for it. F, checks and balances. This is the excellent political theory for a republic. Rare is a perfect a-hole, also a pristine moron, but Hugh Hewitt is a magical beast. Now, I've never met him, but I tweeted back when this was pointed out to me. Journalist, TV writer, and a superb one at that, doesn't understand the law generally, Constitution specifically, or due process at all. Fancy that. There's a surprise every day among the TDS afflicted. But thanks for The Wire. Enjoyed it. Finally, during the shutdown, superb work. Using the Proverbs, soft word turns away wrath. Didn't work. Came back. My invective with regard to useless gibbering F-bonnets is never mindful. And with the possible exception of Dinesh D'Souza and eschewing all other hyperbole, you are the dumbest rock in the Trumpian bucket, delivering a show fit only for dead-brained mouth breathers. That would be you, my friend. But trying to... And I replied, tell you what, David, when you are free of mindless invective, have returned to Baltimore's black community all that you appropriated from it, and undone damage you did to the city, come on my show and demonstrate your correspondence course grasp of the Constitution. Good show, though. To which he responded, as to my supposed appropriation from Baltimore, which actually cannot be denied, why, yes, I have exploited the S out of the city where I live and worked as a journalist covering the drug war. Also have exploited recon Marines, New York housing officials, porn stars and pimps, jazz musicians, police, mayors, and I hope to have the opportunity to exploit the S out of more cohorts before my career ends. The stories are political and therefore rooted in realities. Baltimore is damaged not by narratives that speak to its problems, but by problems and lack of solutions. And I respond, of course, David, you're a redeeming angel, a saint among men, and not a reflexive partisan suffering from TDS who cannot understand the plain language of the Constitution or admit to a David Milch envy so vast that every tweet is overwritten. Have another drink, read a bit. Not kind on my part, I admit it. Then David kind of went off the edge. It's not 5 o'clock and your mother has me slated in for 3 o'clock, he writes, Hugh. So I'm going to hold off on the shot and the beer, thanks. As restless, as inventive as she is, I'll need all my wits about me best. Now, of course, that is, third grade level, seventh grade level, maybe. To which I responded, I quoted from a story on David Simon, which had concluded, David Simon took to replying and furthering his points, but seemed to make everything that much worse. That made him mad. Oh, Hugh, you droll little mook. Just remember to at least speak well of me when you come up from the basement to liberate my cash from your mother's purse. People criticized him at that point. He said, well, to be fair, your pretty mom, someone told him, you're in a hole, stop digging, David. He said, well, to be fair, your mom pretty much demanded I keep going, Dave. And then another person criticized him for ad hominem attack. He said, let's be fair here. I began this by happily calling him a submoronic mediocre hack, which is ad hominem as one can get. On the other hand, he is a submoronic mediocre hack. Empiricism was yoked in the harness of abuse. Sad person David Simon is. David can't resist replying, well, who wouldn't be deeply aggrieved at having you so cleverly compass me to your 4 followers? It got worse over the next few hours. He said to me, you really might want to workshop this week, F nuts. Maybe a Ramada Lodge out near the airport. He's putting on his tough cop act. The late set generally brings out a more forgiving crowd. Hewitt, you hollowed little out F-squib. You've crossed the only Rubicon that truly matters here. In your transparent attempt to cater to the beessed and bespittled deplorati, who easily squee at any half-assed trope that imagines decadent and vile elites, you have wantonly, don't want to miss this correctly, you have wantonly slandered me through a linkage to the Hollywood locale. I had mentioned Hollywood people are unusually abusive on Twitter. If you ever get a single lonesome fact correct in your entire fecal-fleck career of rote hackery, and that is an ambition to exceed your entire skill set, know this, I live and work in Baltimore, Maryland, where the citizenry make a point of pausing in our routine of nightly intramural violence and disorder whenever we catch the scent of a true and enduring piece of S edging over the city line, whereon we close ranks and hunt that low F person en masse, bag him live, then barter him off in pieces for crack vials and bags of Utz crab chips. So yes, you dumb S-licking whelp of a media horse, stay where you are or keep hunting for me in West L.A., because Baltimore is not your speed, as neither are facts in reality. And it goes on. So at that point, I changed my mind. And I told him, look, I'm going to go all Ted Lasso on you, David. Something's wrong with that guy. So I started to read up on it. And that's where I asked for your help. A couple of people, by the way, who know him wrote me in the course of this saying, not a well man, and don't get involved in it. And I said, no, I'm not interested. David Judah Simon was born February 9th, 1960, so he just turned 60 2 days ago. That might have something to do with it. He worked as a reporter after graduating from the University of Maryland. And, reporters often love their work and stay in their work, or they hate their work and they drink a lot and they aspire to be something else. Well, he wrote a couple of good books. Got the 2010 MacArthur Award for being a genius. He wrote the book The Corner, and I went back and listened to some interviews. He was not abnormal in the 90s. They made it into an HBO miniseries. Born in D.C., he was raised in a Jewish family, had a bar mitzvah. His family roots are Russia, Belarus, Hungary, Slovakia. He had a sister, Linda Evans, who died in 1990, so there's some trauma here. More trauma, his father was held hostage when he was in high school in a fairly famous incident here in D.C., so he was raised in D.C. or went to high school here. He wrote for the Tatler, and he graduated in 1973 from the University of Maryland, got a job at the Baltimore Sun because he apparently did a piece that was harmful to Lefty Drizel. And that got him somewhere, and he called journalism God's work, so he got a hero complex. Then he wrote Homicide, a Year on the Killing Streets, which did pretty well. Then he got The Wire. after making Homicide for a few years on HBO. And The Wire became one of the greatest television series ever. So then you mix Hollywood into this sort of media resentment. He's also kind of a low-end Marxist.